Okay, folks, me again here. The title that Coach Manero wanted me to talk about today was called "It Starts with Defense," but I'll start getting this mound out of the way. Okay, so like before, there are 5 things that I'm going to touch on today, just to make it as basic as I can to form that foundation. Doesn't need to get all that more extensive than that. The first one is the setup. Now, little kids are taught this a lot, and it's great, but there's some finer points that you want to get kids in the habit of doing when the pitch is being thrown to the batter. Of course, we have the infielders, they're going to do their thing, and the outfielders are going to do theirs. So let's start with the infield. Every time a ball is thrown to a batter, every infielder, the first baseman, second baseman, third base, and shortstop, should take a step in towards the batter. That helps them get moving and helps them get into the habit of moving forward so that when the ball's hit, they get into that process of charging the ball. We don't want them standing still the whole time just waiting for a ball to be hit. We want them moving in on every pitch. Now, one of the mistakes that some kids will make as an infielder, even in the outfield, is that when they step in, they don't square their feet up again. So if I'm a shortstop and I'm waiting for the pitch to be thrown and the ball is thrown and I take a step in, when the ball is hit, sometimes kids' feet are in this position. They're out of alignment. Now, if the ball's hit over this way, that's not so much a problem. My first step is to the ball. But if the ball's hit this way, I have what is called a false step. I have to bring this foot forward first and then go towards the ball. So my first step is actually not to the ball. So when infielders are taught to step up on the pitch, they have to make sure that they step up and square their feet so that now I can go in any direction. So that's a little thing that you don't always notice, but a lot of infielders make that mistake. They step forward, but they don't step forward with both feet and re-square themselves to the batter. So that's the first part there. Now, where they put their glove when they set up depends on whether they're a corner infielder or middle infielder. Corner infielders, their balls are going to be hit generally harder. They have less time to react. That's why even at the major league level, a lot of first basemen and third basemen will set up and keep their glove relatively low because they don't have a lot of time to react. They want to make sure that glove gets below the ball. They don't want to be late getting it down there. But shortstop and second baseman, they have more ground to cover, and the ball's going to take a little longer to get to them so that when they set up and step forward, they don't have to put their glove on the ground. They can be more like a tennis player waiting for the serve. Their hands are kind of right in here because they have more room that they have to cover, more range. And if their glove is on the ground, it's going to be harder for them to go left and right. So corner infielders, glove is going to be down towards the ground when they set up. Middle infielders, it's okay if their glove is up because they have more left and right movement, more lateral movement that they have to go towards. Now outfielders, they're going to step forward on the pitch. But of course, they don't have to worry about ground balls. And so putting the glove near the ground isn't very practical. We certainly don't want our outfielders just standing up nice and tall because they're going to be lazy. We don't want their hands on their knees because that's going to make them lazy. So then the question is, what do they do with their hands? Well, an outfielder, when they set up and step forward on the pitch, they are going to put their hands on the front of their hips. That's where their hands go, okay? Because that doesn't make them lazy and leaning on their legs. It's just a place for them to put their hands so that when the ball's hit, they can go in any direction. They're not lazy on their knees or standing straight up. They're moving in on the pitch and their hands go on the front of their hips just like that. So that's the basic setup, and of course everything starts from there. If a kid is ready in an athletic position, obviously they're going to have a much better chance of getting to a ball because most of the balls that are hit are not going to be hit right at them. So they're going to have to move left, right, forward, and back. And it starts with getting into an athletic position so that I can move in any direction if I need to. The second one there, I'm going to talk specifically about infield basics. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is just 2 triangles. And that's an easy concept that kids can remember. That when they are going after a ball and they are ready to field it, they need to form two separate big triangles with their body. The first triangle is going to be between my feet and the top of my head. That's a big triangle. If my feet are too narrow, that's not a big triangle. And there's really no sport on earth where I'm going to have quickness and power with my feet close together. If I get into an athletic position, I can play any sport the world has to offer. I can be a soccer goalie, I can be a tennis player, I can be a surfer, I can be a basketball player, I can be a running back, a quarterback. It all starts in this athletic position. So fielding is just taking that athletic position and putting the glove down on the ground. So the first triangle, as I said, is between the feet, a wide stance, and my head. The second triangle they are going to form is between the glove and their feet. The glove is out in front, palms facing each other like I mentioned in the previous session, and my glove and my feet are forming the next triangle. Now in order to get my glove out front, to form that triangle, I have to bend more at the knees as opposed to the waist. If I turn sideways here, if I bend at the waist, that puts my glove between my feet. If I bend at the knees, I'm able to get my hands out in front of me, and I have a lot more flexibility and freedom with my glove when it's out in front of me as opposed to when it's in between my feet. So when the ground ball's coming, kid's going to charge. As kids get older, and we'll show you this in the gym a little bit, it becomes more important to round the ball. And we'll show you that footwork in the gym. But for most young kids, move to the ball, get into that double triangle, palms facing each other. And I tell kids a couple things that they can understand. First one is, on every ground ball, you should be able to see the little button on top of their head. That means their head is down and not coming up on the ball. Another good tip I tell kids is put your nose in the glove. A lot of kids on a lot of plays in baseball, they take their head away from the ball. A fly ball's coming and a kid takes their head away from the ball. When they're hitting, they take their head away from the ball. On ground balls, they pull their head up. So in many different mistakes kids make, it's because they're taking their head away from the ball. So I tell my infielders, when the ball's coming to you, you take your head to the ball. Put your nose like right down on that glove. If a kid's hitting, take your head down to the ball. If you're catching, take your head to the glove. So we're going to try to get kids in the habit of moving their head towards the ball, towards the glove, and infield is the same thing. So double triangles, taking your head to the ball, and that's going to set them up for better defense in there. Next one is outfield basics. I showed you the setup for outfielders, hands on the front of your hips, and really now it depends on where the ball's hit. Certainly if the ball's in front of them, they're going to go after it and catch the ball. If the ball's hit behind them, their footwork is going to depend on where the ball's hit. If it's over my left shoulder, my first step is going to be with that side foot. If it's over this shoulder, my first step is going to be back with that foot. It's called a drop step. Now, a lot of things that I will see with little kids on fly balls is, again, their eyes are moving too much. And I love, nobody really likes to be in a gym, but one of the things I love to practice in a gym is fly ball work. I just throw fly balls and I have kids go out for passes. And that's a great drill, very simple drill, football drill, basically quarterback throwing a ball to receivers. It's a great drill for outfielders because it's teaching them how to catch the ball on the move. And when you're in the gym, you can hear this. If a kid is running flat-footed, it's going to send a jolt up that kid's body and shake his eyes. And it's going to appear as if the ball's moving. And so a big concept with outfielders is getting them to run on the balls of their feet so that their eyes stay still. So that's a big concept, and you'll see when outfielders in the major leagues, when you see a ball hitting a gap and those outfielders are tracking that ball down, their bodies are pumping, they're in full sprint mode, and their eyes are completely still. They're able to run full speed, and their head is not moving, and that gives them very good vision on the ball. So that's a skill that at a young age they should be practicing. And it's really just a matter of going out for passes. Anything you can do to have them catch the ball on the move, that's going to help them out with outfield. Another big thing with outfield is make sure that their shoulders and their bodies are squared to where the ball is going, not where the ball is. And when I show you what it looks like with a lot of kids, you will recognize this. The ball's hit and the kid runs like this. He's squaring his body to the ball when he should be squaring his body to where the ball is going and just turning his head. That's going to enable him to run faster because his body is squared up to where he wants to go and his head is looking at the ball. He's going to be able to run faster and smoother instead of drifting on the ball like a lot of kids do when they face the ball instead of facing where the ball is going.